Welcome to this presentation on leveraging LinkedIn. This is for the Linfield College IDST 052 course, Career Planning and Preparation. I'm Donna Montoya, your instructor for the course. So we are talking about LinkedIn today, but I think it does merit that we talk a little bit about social media in general and why it can be so important for your job search, any career changes, and also just your professional connections and networking purposes. So looking over this, we can see that there's really great parts about using social media for your career development. 92% of companies do use social media for recruitment, and a high number, 73%, make successful hires with the help of using social media. Just under half say that their quality of candidates has improved, and about a third have seen an increase in employee referrals. So I believe that these are all connected. So part of the reminder of social media in general was the good, and the other part is the bad. I think it's a great reminder to help us keep our professional network and our online social media just as pristine as we would when we would actually be networking in person. So anything that you put out there, you want to think how this reflects upon you. There are really real consequences to this. So you can use social media for good, and it could also turn around and be used for bad for you. About 3/4 of hiring managers check out candidates on social media, and a third of those have actually rejected candidates based on what was on their profiles. So if it's not something that you would want to present to a possible professional connection or at an interview, just make sure that what you have up there is either locked or private, or just take it off in general. There is a beautiful side of social media, and that's why we added this on here as well. 14.4 million job seekers have used social media to research for positions. So keep that number in mind, 14.4. You can actually use this to your advantage. Companies have hired candidates because of what they've found online, and here are some reasons. Specifically, LinkedIn is the top player for this, with almost 100% of companies using LinkedIn. If you remember that 14.4 million, keep remembering that, because you'll be able to use a little bit of math to figure out how many of you there are versus how many employers are out there. So although LinkedIn really is the top contender for professional networking purposes and recruiting, 66% of companies have used Facebook, and about half use Twitter. So those are definitely other really great resources, and they can help you round out your professional research, your reading, and also personally as well. So LinkedIn is about so much more than just a social media site or the quote networking side. These are a couple of the reasons, and we'll go over them, but it is really why LinkedIn is so powerful. So now take a look at this. There are 260 million users of LinkedIn, over 200 countries, and 3 million company pages. So remember that 14.4 million job seekers who have used social media in their job quest. Look at 260 million plus users on LinkedIn. So not all of them on LinkedIn are actually looking for a job, and there are a good amount of companies out there with many employees that are recruiting. One interesting part to look at is that the fastest growing demographic of LinkedIn users is the students or recent graduates of college. So if you're part of this, that's not a big part of the 260 million users, so you'd be setting yourself apart with your peers for being on LinkedIn and having a positive profile. For the rest of you who may be more established in your careers, think of this demographic that is going to be invading even more, and the ways that you can stand out with this new competition. We'll talk a little more about the company pages and LinkedIn groups and why it's so powerful a little later. So as we look at your LinkedIn profile, there are a lot of different components or pieces to the puzzle, and we'll go over most of these. So this section is really to help you start constructing your profile and try to get it right the first time, or help you not muddle through it. But of course, nothing is permanent and you can always change and update. So the first part of your profile is the picture. And the picture, just like we would look at a resume, the most important part will go on the top, right? So the picture is one of the most important parts of your LinkedIn profile, and the summary section as well. So we'll take a moment to take a look at this summary. In putting your summary together, my recommendation is to go back to that elevator pitch that you've already created and that you've been practicing and been able to adapt for different situations. And to basically write it down, put it on paper, and then you would put it on your screen. So you're looking at who you are, what makes you special and unique, some recent experiences that you had, some key activities or successes, and tailor it for the type of people that you'd want to be looking at your summary. So I do have a lot of people say, okay, well, this is generally what I do, but I'm actually going to be graduating and looking for a different job very soon. So my question would be, what is the primary purpose for you having LinkedIn right now? And if your primary audience is going to be a recruiter at a certain type of company or industry, write your summary for that person. You can always change it later. So just like your elevator pitch, you would adapt it. Summaries are different lengths and kind of a different feel depending on industry. So another suggestion would be to search for your peers or other people who are at the top of their game in the industry you're interested in and see how long it is. Attention spans are different depending on different types of people you'd be working with, and the important things that they put in. So for example, Lindsay Pollock is actually a LinkedIn ambassador, and she does a lot of appearances for a lot of different media outlets, and she's also kind of known as a millennial expert. So that's what a lot of keywords include on her LinkedIn summary. So you would mimic the same thing for you. Next, we get to the experience section. So again, this is just a snapshot from Lindsay Pollock's experience. It's basically your online resume, and although there's no way to easily just upload your resume to LinkedIn, you can copy and paste, and you have a little more leeway here. You can, as you can see from Lindsay, I'm sure her resume is very professional, in a very formal sense, but she adjusted it a little for LinkedIn to make it a little more conversational, and feel free to do that as well. When you do put in the title of your job and the company that you work in, sometimes there will be pop-ups or suggestions, and that's very helpful because then, for example, if you work at HarperCollins Publishers and you allow that pop-up to fill in for the company, then their logo will come and it connects you to everyone else that works at HarperCollins. So after the experience section, we get to education, and this is an example of someone who is a Linfield alum who has her education listed up here. Same thing, so as you type in Linfield College, the little icon will pop up, and that is very important because that connects you to all other alumni or current students who are with Linfield College. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. You can add in activities and societies. You can add in graduation date, any specific classes that you took. There is a lot that you can put in there. This is a very minimal example. So you can also get endorsements, and on your profile they will look like skills. So you can put those skills in on your own. I think you get up to about 50. But people can also endorse you, and when you will see it when you go to someone else's homepage or in their profile, it'll pop up. Would you like to endorse Lindsay for public speaking? And yes, you can endorse that person. Well, the same thing happens if you get an endorsement from someone else. As you can see, this person is most endorsed for recruiting. She has 84 endorsements, and it'll give a brief overview of how many people, or the profile pictures of the people who endorsed her, and you can get more information if you click on it. You can also set it so that these endorsements don't pop up, or you can take out one of those skills if you don't really agree with it and you think that it's cluttering up your skills. There are a lot of different apps, and it's something that will pop up as you're selecting your profile and what you want to put in, but I actually want to go over to interests right now. and so we'll talk about those other sections. If you click on interests, you can see that you look at companies, groups, Pulse, which is the basically an online news feed, and education. So you can see that we went over recommendations and we're looking at groups and companies right now. So if you go to a group or company, you can search for them and you'd be able to really look in to who works at the company. I suggest that you click to follow a company, and every time they post something, it will come up on your newsfeed. Every time they post a job, it'll come up on your newsfeed. Groups are another great way to stay connected. So if you are a CPA and you are part of OSCPA, you would want to join that group, and then you're a little more connected to other people through that group, and you also get information popping up through your newsfeed. As far as the connections go, you can see at the top of the screen here that I'm hovering over connections, and this is where you would add connections or find alumni. So here are some great examples of just LinkedIn profiles in general. I'll let you take a moment to see what this might look like. Pay special attention to the profile picture and what the person put in their tagline. So Lindsay put Millennial Workplace Expert, LinkedIn Ambassador, Spokesperson. LinkedIn will automatically generate your most recent current position as your tagline, but you can always change that. This is another great summary, someone who's doing a little bit different work. Now take a look at this, and what a great summary this is. Try to guess who wrote this. Yep. So just a way to bring people in, make it very conversational, and you can tell that Santa Claus and the other two, they didn't just list keywords to get the keywords in there. That's not effective anymore. It really has to be conversational and telling a story. And we went over this. So they're very descriptive, they're engaging, they did list past accomplishments, but they put it in a context that makes you think, okay, that's someone that I want to learn a little more about. So the reason you care is that just looking at profiles is the #1 activity on LinkedIn, and it's how a lot of recruiters who are actively seeking out candidates will find you first. So this is what I challenge you to do, and as part of the class, this is the type of activity that will help get your LinkedIn profile as in top shape as quickly as you can. And of course, nothing is static, and so please keep changing it as your roles change and as your experiences change. And the more genuine connections you make, the stronger the connection is for your professional network and being able to use LinkedIn. I kind of relate it back to the telephone. So if only one person had a telephone, it really wouldn't matter that they had this awesome technology. If 3 people had telephones, well, that's great. They can communicate with each other. But if the whole world has telephones, think of how connected and how useful they are. And that's what LinkedIn is for you and your network. So that is the end of the Leveraging LinkedIn presentation. Thank you very much. Please let me, the instructor, know if you have any questions.